good day and welcome to Alena TV. We are broadcasting from Toronto, Canada. I am Elsa Abraham, and in today's episode we are bringing you African news. Now here is your headlines. Ethiopia reports of heavy casualties in fighting in Tigray. Egypt also chafing tactics by armed groups curb Sinai development. And in Kenya, staring at another wave of low-cost invasion. Let's go for a quick break. When we come back is our news in details. Welcome back from that short break. Now, in our news in details for African segment today, country's Prime Minister sent in federal troops and aircraft last week in major escalations. Heavy casualties have been reported in ongoing clashes between the Ethiopian army and troops loyal to the ruling party of the restive northern province of Tigray. At least 6 people were killed and 60 people wounded in one location along the Tigray border alone. Doctors Without Borders said on Saturday, and a medical official said nearly 100 government soldiers had been treated for gunshot wounds at a hospital in the northern Amhara region. The Ethiopian Prime Minister, last year's Nobel Peace Prize award winner, Abiy Ahmed, sent federal troops and aircraft into Tigray on Wednesday in a major escalation of a long-running feud. The fighting has brought Africa's second most populous nation to the brink of what analysts say could be a long and bloody civil war. Abiy Ahmed and military leaders have touted Ethiopian soldiers' successes, but a communications blackout in the region has made their accounts difficult to verify. Both sides have access to very heavy weapons, armor, and considerable stocks of ammunition. Abiy also replaced his army chief on Sunday and appointed the deputy chief, Hanu Jula, to take charge over the Ethiopian National Defense Force. The move was part of a wider reshuffle that appeared to be aimed at bringing the most vocal supporters to the Tigray operation to the forefront. Ambulances can frequently be seen ferrying wounded combatants to hospital on roads in northern Amhara, and there have been eyewitness reports of funerals for militia men. We have had 98 cases. All of them are soldiers from the National Army, said a doctor in the town of Sanja who spoke on condition of anonymity. He said there have been no fatalities at the hospital, but that more serious cases had been transported to larger hospitals in the city of Gondar and elsewhere. Reports of death and wounded soldiers have mounted in recent days in Amhara, where a humanitarian aid worker said 3 had died and 35 had been treated on Saturday. 5 were reported killed and 105 injured on Friday. Countries in the region fear the fighting could spark all-out civil war and destabilize the Horn of Africa, one of the continent's most fragile regions. Over the weekend, the UN has warned of a major humanitarian crisis if as many as 9 million people flee out fighting or Tigray remains largely cut off from the world. In a televised address on Sunday, Abiy Ahmed accused Tigray's regional leaders of preparing for war with the federal government since 2018. The group had siphoned development funds to buy weapons and trained militias, he said. A senior general told a state-owned newspaper that several locations in Tigray are now under the federal army's control. The army has destroyed all the heavy weapons controlled by the infidel group. Now it is marching forward, he said. The Tigray People's Liberation Front dominated politics in Ethiopia for nearly 3 decades before Abiy came to power in 2018 after anti-government protest. It now only controls its home province. Tigray's leaders have complained of being unfairly targeted in corruption prosecutions, renowned, removed from top positions and scapegoated for the country's woes under Abiy Ahmed's government. The long-running feud became more intense after Tigray held its own elections in September in defense of Abiy's government, which had decided to postpone national polls because of the coronavirus pandemic. MPs voted on Saturday to suspend Tigray's leaders and install a caretaker administration in the province. In the capital, Addis Ababa, the mayor announced on Sunday that 10 high-ranking city officials from Tigray had been arrested, accusing them of betraying the people and working to destabilize the peace in our city and engage in cruel and terroristic motives. But in a Twitter post on Sunday, Abiy called on Ethiopians to avoid discriminating against the Tigrayans, who make up about 6% of the country's 110 million people. I would like to reiterate that no Tigrayan brother or sister should be a victim of identity-based illegal acts, and this responsibility lies on all Ethiopians, he said in a Twitter post. The Ethiopian authorities have not yet formally responded to a request for dialogue from the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Now moving on to our second story for today. Egypt shifting tactics by armed groups curb Sinai development. An armed uprising spread in northern Sinai after the military overthrew President Mohamed Morsi in 2013. Egypt is rolling out ambitious development projects in the Sinai Peninsula, which adjoins the Suez Canal, Israel and Gaza, but pockets of instability from the armed groups persist despite an intensified military campaign. Large-scale assaults on military and government positions have subsided, but fighters have shifted tactics, staging more individual attacks, deploying snipers, and planting explosives. Security sources and analysts have said that these fighters have been able to temporarily overrun villages near Bir al-Abd in northwest Sinai this summer shows security remains fragile, while poverty and neglect have not been fully addressed, they say. At least 15 people have been killed by explosive devices around that area since October 10th. Security sources have said, alarming residents and highlighting the risk for development projects. 8 booby traps went off in houses in our village alone, said Kaliji, a 39-year-old who gave only his surname. People are afraid to enter their houses, while southern Sinai is home to the highly secured Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh and other tourist spots. Much of the rugged peninsula is tiny, populated, and underdeveloped. An armed uprising spread in northern Sinai after the military overthrew President Mohamed Morsi of the Muslim Brotherhood in 2013. Hundreds of policemen and soldiers, as well as more than 1,000 civilians have died, according to official statement. The Sinai province, an armed group loyal to the ISIS, has drawn support from local Bedouins complaining of marginalization, a change that the government denies. Last month, on the anniversary of the 1973 war with Israel that led to Egypt's regaining control of Sinai, the government announced projects to provide social housing, water, roads and industrial zones, education and healthcare. In northeastern Sinai, the army has created a buffer zone and destroyed tunnels that it says were used to smuggle to send weapons and fighters between Egypt and Haman-run Gaza. Every day, we are launching new projects in town across the governorate. North Sinai Governor Mohammed Abdel Fadil Shosha told the local TV. Among the projects are more than 1,000 freestanding bedroom homes, after some residents complained they preferred houses with farmland to the apartments the government was building. Sheikh Abdallah Juhama, head of the Sinai tribal veterans who fought in 1973 against Israel, said development projects such as housing and agriculture had helped veterans. The state had shown more interest in the region by also building roads, wells, schools, and bridges. We demand more development and the state is going in this direction, he said. Several residents had said they had received new apartments from the state in Rafah, bordering Gaza, or other towns after their homes were destroyed. But others said they preferred to stay in Ismailia, a mainland city across the Suez Canal, and were still afraid to return. To help pull the region out of poverty, the United States has run projects to provide water worth $50 million in North Sinai. Arab countries have also extended aid. Some Western donors have held back projects over security concerns or for lack of a local partner who can work independently of the authorities, one diplomat said. In a military zone where you cannot operate without military approval, you can't verify progress of projects, the diplomat said. Mr. Ordered Betways, a security analyst, said attacks had fallen to 15 a month from 40 in late 2017 as Egypt improved security on its borders with Gaza and Libya. But the temporary capture of inhabited areas around Bir Abd lower frequency attacks in northeastern Sinai and attempted assaults near the Suez Canal show how challenges remain for the security services, he said. Sniper operations, which had shifted west from the Gaza border to the outskirts of El Arish, rose to at least 18 between January and September 2020, up from 16 in 2018 to 2019 combined, two Egyptian security sources have said. Assailants have also kidnapped and killed those they accused of collaborating with the state. Squeezed by military operations, Sinai province has upped its activity around Bel Al, accessible from desert attacks, desert tracks to the south, security sources said. An open desert area which is hard to monitor, said one of the sources. Hassan al-Shawai, who has a workshop in Beir Al, said there is more terrorist activity here. There are more incidents on the roads. Travel to the North Sinai is restricted to residents. Certainly militant capacity has been degraded, but not to the point of securing the province for the safety of its residents of economic development, said Alison McManus, senior fellow of the Center for Global Policy. For the most part, massive development of North Sinai is still rather far-fetched vision. Now moving on to our last story for today. Kenya staring at another wave of low-cost invasion. Kenya is just recovering from the worst infestation in 70 years and the worst outbreak in 25 years for neighboring countries of Somalia and Ethiopia. In Shamburu, disaster management teams have sprayed about 1,000 acres of land in Shamburu West, where the survivors of the pest had infested. Kenya is staring at another wave of desert locust invasion as fresh swarms migrate to northern Kenya from Somalia, Ethiopia, and Eritrea. United Nations Food and Agricultural Organizations has warned that the swarms could be entering Kenya just a few months after it had alluded that the country is almost winning the war against the plague. Kenya is just recovering from the worst infestation in 70 years and the worst outbreak in 25 years of neighboring countries from Somalia and Ethiopia. But the FAO's latest report, dated October 5th, says wind-blown swarm migration from Yemen could again plague Ethiopia, Somalia in October and in November, extended to Kenya in November. The last fast-moving insects were first sighted in Wajir County and later in Mandera, Marashbi, and Gasira, Meru, Laikipia. They later spread to close to 29 countries in Kenya, where they left a trail of destruction. As winds from the north become established over the Horn of Africa, there will be an increased threat of swarm migration from Yemen, northeast Ethiopia and northern Somalia, south to eastern Ethiopia and central Somalia in October, and that could extend to the northern Kenya in November. Locusts can travel about 90 miles a day and eat their own body weight in crops, thus making them fast-moving, especially during heavy winds. Though ground and aerial control continue in the Horn of Africa and Yemen, FAO says the situation is worrying and could deteriorate during October because of recent breeding. The report says that there is substantial hatching and hopper band formation, which has caused numerous immature swarms to form in northeast Ethiopia. An increasing number of swarms has been reported in northern Somalia, including cross-border movements between northwest Somalia and eastern Ethiopia, the report said. Invasion of the pest disrupted grazing patterns and nomadism in northern Kenya, prompting acute hunger and other unprecedented effects to the communities living in the region. When the voracious pest landed, they destroyed crops and grazing vegetation covers in pastoralism areas. In Shamburu, disasters management teams have sprayed about 1,000 acres of land in Shamburu West, where the survivors of the pest had infested. Shamburu County Special Programs Chief Officer Daniel Leshego told the nation that they have killed 3 swarms that crossed over from Turkana. There are very few survivors remaining, and we're still doing aerial surveillance across the county, and we have aircraft for aerial spray in case we spot any swarms, he stated. He noted that invasions of desert locusts had left a trail of destruction in Shamburu, particularly worsening food insecurity by destroying pastures for livestock in part of the country that were hard to hit by the invasion. Now, the Shamburu communities will be food insecure due to the damage caused by the locusts on food as well as pastures for livestock. Climate change has played a major role in creating a conducive environment for desert locusts to breed and to thrive. For instance, over the last 12 months. This is where we end today's episode of African News. Please like, share, comment, let us know your thoughts on this particular episode. If there is a case in your region or country, just let us know in the comment section below so we could be notified and talk about it. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button so you will be notified anytime we make a post. Thanks for watching.